Hi all, this is Sharon Dave Ghost Hunting Theories, and today I wanted to discuss alien grays. It's a subject I actually have some experience in. I never expected to have experience in it. I am the world's biggest skeptic about the concept of people from other planets coming to this Earth in vehicles and being little gray people. It's just not something I ever bought. I'm not an ancient aliens theorist. I believe that what we're talking about is technology that was given by the giant culture, and maybe even other cultures millions of years before that, which I think maybe the Greys might be one of them. I think it's all within the realm of our universe, just not, we're thinking too, we're stuck to three-dimensional forms, so we tend to think of things in space and distance and solidity. So we see planets out there and we think that must be where they come from. But there's a universe in here, and I think that's where they come from. Okay, that being said, my encounters with Greys have made me have to start looking at it rather logically and try to explain a little bit about the mechanics of these alien Greys. One thing that I do know is that they visit us when we're sleeping. I think that's incredibly poetic. And there may be several reasons for that. One is our brainwaves make us more receptive, of course, to being able to be manipulated or controlled or led, or to even believe that we just dreamed it and it didn't really happen. So there's a very wonderful little window there that we're given where I don't think it's a coincidence in the least that they almost always visit us in our sleep. That being said, let's talk a little bit more about how they come and go. My experiences with them have never been outdoors, at least not to any of my memories. They've always been in my room, and they have arrived and left by an orange-red light. I think that's significant. If I look at it logically, which I can't help but do because I don't believe in magic, this orange-red light it's critical. It's some sort of an offshoot of what they do in order to come and go. And from what I understand, and this is where the intuitive comes into play, and one of the wonderful skills they say they gave me, my intuitive tells me that they themselves can will that process to happen, that orange-red light in which they come and go in. And I think it's a process of their own vibration, I guess I would say. They have to vibrate at a certain rate to, in a cellular level or some sort of, incredibly minute way. And I'm sure this is where physics could explain all this someday. They sort of vibrate and become this light is an offshoot of the process in which they switch to their other realm, their parallel universe, whatever you want to call it. What about the vehicles that they're seen flying around in the sky in? I'm not sure if this isn't just incidental, if the fact that we have things in our sky that we can't explain, we may be visually seeing something from another realm crossing through and being able to be visualized at certain points. And it could be also that they come in a large content on these ships, and then from there they are able to vibrate themselves into our home or wherever they show up. So that could be an explanation for it. They could just simply be our own things out there, and we're just misinterpreting and assuming they're alien. What I know about them is the orange-red light. I also know that they use mind speak, and mind speak is a very interesting thing. It's not actually language. I'm not hearing words in my head. I'm getting knowledge and interpreting it in my own language. So at one point when I woke up and saw 4 of them in my room, my interpretation was they were thinking, oh shit, she wasn't supposed to wake up. So, and I wake up during anesthesia, so I guess they just didn't know that about redheads, but I done woke up. And, but that was my interpretation. Of course, they weren't thinking, oh shit, she just woke up. But that was how I interpreted it. And I could also read feelings. They do have feelings. Yes, they do. And when 3 of them had disappeared in the orange-red light, one of them was trying really hard to make the orange-red light come, or however the process is in which he leaves. But the light wasn't showing up, and he wasn't making the transition. So he turned away from me, and I crawled across the bed, reached out. I wanted to touch his arm. I wanted to see what he felt like. He looked kind of like he was velvety. I wasn't quite sure. And I was reaching for him, and he had turned away. And I remember thinking in my mind, dude, I can still see you. I mean, turning away isn't going to help. But he felt nervous, concerned. And I think he had a little bit of trouble focusing in order to make this process happen that needs to happen for him to move on. And then, of course, the orange-red light showed up, and he was gone. And I can't explain the orange-red light except to say that it didn't illuminate the room. It only illuminated them. And it seemed a little bit hazy on its edges. It wasn't a perfect light. And it didn't seem to come from above. It just seemed to, it'd be kind of like if you were covered in talcum powder and then you shake out your shirt and the talcum powder just sort of clouds around you. That's what this orange-red light was like. The room temperature dropped dramatically and then immediately rose back up to a warm level. And there was a slight smell of what I think is ozone. I mean, I've smelled it before. I was married to an electrical engineer, and he did produce some ozone for me to get familiar with the smell as a ghost investigator. But that's what it smelled like to me, like a lightning strike or some kind of electrical discharge that let off a smell. But they didn't seem to have any devices with them. So we're talking about something they can do biologically. And this is something I'm reminded again of brilliant Nikola Tesla, who talked about energy and frequency and vibration, and that they could explain the world. And I think the ancient giants knew this. I think the alien greys, who might have been erased millions of years ago here on this land, have learned to move on to the other realms. And maybe they just check us out now and then to see if we're getting ready to vibrate and come across, or maybe what we do here actually interferes with their world. So whatever their purposes are here, I was told I was given certain skills, and that I would come to use them in a mission. I'm still working on that mission. It's a very unusual one, but from what they tried to explain to me in this mind speak where I gain instant knowledge, was that I was supposed to find the schism between our worlds and open and close the door at will in front of witnesses so that the world could see how we go back and forth. And that's a huge task. And I'm highly skeptical. I'm a very practical person. So I'm taking it with a grain of salt, but things are being thrown in my path that lead me to believe that somebody is directing me to do something. So, you know, I'll give it the respect it deserves, but it's not my life mission. I think that mine's a little bit more humanitarian, but I don't know, maybe this is humanitarian. Maybe they would just want us to learn how to cross over. Whatever it is they want from me, they're going to have to come back and visit me again because I need a little bit more detail on it. They don't quite give me all the info. They do, however, drop people and knowledge into my path to kind of help guide me. So thanks, dudes, but really, you know, I'd rather have a schematic. Thank you. So that's my alien talk today, but I will be talking more about aliens. I have a great deal to say about them.